and using these small achikali, which are from the Madras roofing, which are luckily still available, getting more expensive every day. But this is another possibility. And of course, use of courtyards and trying to see that the climate is addressed in a proper manner. This is one of the things I like to show a lot. This is our ecological dishwashing machine. I think every house that can afford to have a pond should have it. Afford in this terms of space, not in only terms of cost. And this is what we've been doing since 20 years. Every time we eat, everything goes into the pond and is cleaned in a few minutes by the fish. It keeps the pond active, it keeps the birds coming, and it uses less detergent, it uses less water, and also less time. And I don't have to worry about the plates in the night. This is another way of doing tile roofs, not using timber, because timber is another resource. Of course, we can say that we can plant it and it's easy and it's regenerative, but very often we are not able to do it. In this house also, it's a guest house, I planted as much timber as I used, but one of the experiments was to try and do it in precast, and then you also can fight the termites without using poison. And then landscaping. Most of the times I see people who come from the cities are afraid to walk in Auroville. First of all, they're not used to walking without shoes, and then they're also very scared to go out because they think there'll be some snakes and some scorpions, but actually they are more scared of us than we should be of them. And it's really, all these things which are already part of our culture is getting lost. Most of us don't remember to take out shoes in our homes, which was natural before. It's a wonderful foot massage when you walk on different floors. You feel the different temperatures. And all this is getting lost. So we thought it's good to encourage this. In Auroville, luckily, it's been a practice since 40, 50 years that all the places you have to remove your shoes, whether it's an auditorium or it's a conference room or it's a home. And I think that's a very nice practice. You also keep away a lot of the germs, and it keeps you in touch with the earth. But having said all this, I think the best part is that only 2.5% of buildings in India are built by architects. So I would like to request Nerolac next time to please address the rest of the 97.5% of people who are going to actually advocate your products, because we are a very small minority, and we don't really have much say every time in the building industry. So I think it's very important that we keep this in mind, and it has to be said, because when we sit in conferences like this, we think that we're going to go out and change the world, but we have to try, and I'm not saying we shouldn't, but it's very minuscule. So I feel it's important that we have to address this issue as well. And perhaps you're already doing it. I don't know if Nerolac has already taken initiatives to have all the other industry partners and people who are in the building industry to be part of this. And the other important thing, I think, is about people don't talk about how much money it takes actually to maintain a building. And I think which is very, very important when we're designing, that we have to remember that what we are doing is only 10% of the total cost of what that building is going to consume. So it needs a lot of thinking in the beginning, and that's where I think the role of an architect is also important, that we begin to realize that actually maintenance costs, and we have to explain this, that it's very important how we design, because otherwise later it may appear cheap and effective in the beginning, but in the long term it's not going to work. Okay, just one slide on what can we do as individuals. I've just kind of put all the points what I do in my life, or I try to do in my life. One of the things is save water. So this is my latest, 2 cycles of reuse, which means use the water that has been used for washing clothes. I don't have a washing machine. I still like to wash by hand, mainly because a lot of the Indian clothes need hand washing. I'm sure all the women here would agree that a lot of the times you have to separate, and then the color gets running. And I think it's important, if you're going to use clothes that are dyed naturally, you have to do it by hand. And silk and everything that goes with Indian way of dressing. But apart from that, the interesting thing is that you can use that water for flushing, and then you can recycle it again. So basically, you're actually, prolonging the life of water, because what the water that we are using is almost drinking quality. And I think it's a shame that we use that. Water efficient fixtures, of course, and repair leaks immediately. I mean, you know that, when you go in Chennai, how many times you must see water being wasted. Harvesting of rainwater for drinking. Like now, we just had the rains. I don't know how many of you just thought of collecting the rainwater and drinking it. At least you would have water for some few days. And we do that. We just take a barrel and, all the rainwater from the roof goes into the barrel, and we can even use it for taking bath. Save energy. Put off appliances incidentally also helps to reduce electromagnetic fields, energy efficient lighting systems. Save fuels, carpool, cycling, or walking for short distances. Minimize use of plastics, detergents, like I said, ponds. Carry cloth shopping bags. I'm sure all of you can do this. Use local, or perhaps you're already doing it. Use local products made in India, improves economy and creates livelihoods. This is really tough. I don't think half of us even know what is made in India anymore. And most of it is Chinese. And I know it's cheaper, and I know most of the time it's convenient. Like last time I was in Ahmedabad, I saw hundreds, thousands of lampions being lighted for the Uttarayan festival. I was so shocked because I'm used to the tukkals, the little things that fly. And it was such a, very kind of, you have to be really good at kite flying in order to have these tukkals flying. And then I saw these millions of lampions, and it was beautiful. It was like a choreography that nobody could have ever done. But I just asked, how much do they cost? Yeah, and it was like 60 rupees the day before the kite flying, and 30 rupees if you bought 1 week ago. And I said, where is all that money going? And of course, it's going to China. And I said, how can this be possible that the Ahmedabadis haven't managed to, beat the Chinese? But it happens. So one has to actually understand what is happening. Eat local foods, seasonal, not deep frozen. And you can be aware of this when you're ordering your pizza, whether you want to have it, even if it is oven baked, whether you want to have deep frozen corn on it or what. And not company manufactured. And this is very interesting. Eat food. That sounds funny. But actually, most of the food that we eat is not really food, it's processed. Eat color. So, try and make sure the more you cook, the less color you have, and in moderation so that you're healthy. Recycle food waste, composting for terrace, you can use the compost for terrace gardens. This will take away 70% of waste in a city dump yard. And I think this is something that we all can do. And I know that some of you are doing it. I have friends sitting here who are composting their whole, their gated community has a fantastic composting system. But the more we can do this, the better it is. I'm going to leave you with 3 slides, a question mark. The problem of numbers. I don't know, I can't answer this question, but to me it doesn't seem sustainable. Can a mega city ever be sustainable? Can so many human beings ever live together and be sustainable? Is it really made for us? Like, I've read that, there's a certain, when you have a certain density of people, there's an angst, there's a fear that is created in people. I don't know. I don't know what happens. I'm too long in Auroville to be able to tell you. But when I go back to Ahmedabad, which is my hometown, it seems a bit funny. When I come to Chennai, when I come from Auroville to Chennai, it's all like, is this real? Like, you have these hundreds of people. Where are they going? Where are they doing? Where does all that waste go, what they create? I don't know if there is another way of thinking, because Auroville is supposed to be 50,000, and that's supposed to be an ideal number for a community which can still, be an ecological, sustainable. It was not meant to be. I mean, that was not the reason why it's 50,000, but it appears to be a scale that is manageable. All our villages that are still existing in India, and we all know how we feel when we go to villages, and we can romanticize about it. But is there an answer to this? I don't know. Because this is what we have, and this is what we want. We have a city of cars, we have consumption, consumerism, and we don't have public spaces, we don't have places where children can play. We have resources, management of resources is so crazy. I mean, in a country like Germany, where they're known for, using their solar energy and wind energy, and they're like in the top in Europe. But now I went in March to Germany this year, and they were talking that they're creating all this fantastic wind energy and solar energy, but they're creating it in the wrong place of Germany. Everything is happening in the north, and now they have to transport it all to the south. And then they don't know how to deal with this problem, because where the industries are is not where the wind is. So you can find technology, but are we ever going to find the solution? What is the solution to this? Are human beings sustainable as a species? Or are we capable of evolving to a higher form of species? Are we able to change and evolve and transform ourselves into something else so that we can be, I wouldn't even say sustainable, it's just too cheap a word almost to say that for the evolution that is necessary for human beings. But these are questions, I think, which are basic to understand the aspect of what we are trying to discuss here today. Because it's not just about architecture, it's not just about design and innovation. It's about a way of life, but it's a way of life that is also not, it's more basic, it's very basic to the human being. And I think one should at least be aware of it, even if you're not able to discuss everything about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mona. I now request Mr. Jaisim to please initiate what he does best, a discourse on his forte, sustainability.
Good evening to all of you. After Mr. Pandya and Mona, through the spectrum of brilliance, awoke us to the realities of life, I would like to look at it in a little different, rather than a way of life, as to a lifestyle. First of all, I sustain myself by not standing but sitting. Second, I sustain myself by not presenting you any pictures, by just talking to you. To talk of sustainability in today's context of life is what to sustain. I only understand this in a very simple way. Maybe that simplicity is very complex. Can I use energy efficiently? To what extent can I use energy efficiently? I can use it only to the extent I understand it. But what I understand may not even be 10% of what somebody else understands. So what I thought sustainable is no longer sustainable. Then, to go about an NGO factor or a factor of morality, I don't think is a way of life. I'm not saving somebody. I'm not saving the earth. Because I'm nobody. I only live because I want to live. And I want to live in a context of without hurting anybody, but in a context of being joy and happy. The question then comes again, does earth matter? I question you, does earth matter? In the way things are progressing, in the things that are futuristically possible, what is happening? Even today morning, as I was reading a technical magazine, the phenomena of the solar cell's ability to generate electricity makes it phenomenal, along with LED lighting, to use any amount of lighting you want. But to get that energy, you need a tremendous amount of embodied energy being put as research. You can't get away from it. Mud architecture is fine for my houses and her houses and his houses, but not for all of you. It doesn't make sense. You cannot stop somebody from building 1,000 floors, because that is what somebody wants. That is the lifestyle. That is the matter of things today. It is not a question of China, it's not a question of India. Why should I make anything made in Delhi then? Why should I only buy made in Tambaram or Thenambet? Doesn't make sense. I love the masala dosa I had in Edinburgh the other day better than the masala dosa I had in this hotel or in Chennai or in Bangalore. Because that fellow was a cook, had gone from here and made masala dosa much better there. But I had to pay something like 100 times the masala dosa here. Because he has to sustain his life. I have to sustain my life. The question of sustainability is thought about in a very different way. You should start looking at the phases of life. You should start looking at why am I into this complexity of living? Can I stop urbanization? Impossible. Why should I be a dictator of somebody's life to say, you cannot come into the city, only I can come into the village? No. There is aspiration. There is a movement of people wanting what they think somebody has. It's a dream that cannot be changed. I'm not a Gandhi, I'm not a Modi, or I'm not anything. I'm just an architect. What do? I can, with my abilities of what I have little learned, get to my client the maximum for his input in a place that he has given. That's all that I can do. And I find even today as I left my office in the morning and spent tremendous amount of energy, money consuming coming here. Phenomenal amount of energy, driving 2.5 hours in Bangalore, waiting 1 hour in the beer club at the airport, and then taking a flight, then taking another 45-minute detour drive up here, staying here in this phenomenally energy-consuming hotel, and these brilliant lights blazing at us. It's phenomenal energy, and hearing the drums beating behind and thing, in spite of the efficient acoustic walls. Their energy. We are part of that system. If you start wanting to address a particular point and then say, okay, for myself I'll do it, go ahead, be a sadhu. I tried it. It doesn't work. Because all the clients run away. They don't want sadhus. They want glass. And then I talk to the glass. I'm invited after this to the glass people. Like, you should ask Nerolac. I thank Nerolac and IAB for inviting us to participate in a fascinating discussion here. But then you start looking at it. Why paint at all? Why not just put whitewash? I'll ask Mr. Pandya to close down his factory. Is it sustainable for him? He will kill me on the road. I'll ask IAB to stop publishing. Don't print. Don't photograph. It doesn't work. Today's lifestyle is phenomenal. Even before my 4-year-old granddaughter looks, she wants pen, she wants a computer, she wants my iPhone. She looks at my iPhone and says, Tata, this is old-fashioned. She wants something more. And she comes from one of the most, what you call, deliberated schools of Head Start learning, which means every bit she's taught value. If she wants that, you can't stop it. India wants to explore the moon. They want to go some Mars. Can we all go to Mars? We can't. Can I stop India from doing space exploration? Can I stop this city from doing metro train? And because you are doing metro train, Bangalore also wants a metro train. It doesn't matter where the metro train goes. We want a metro train. Like children want toys, we want it. That is the only thing that can be sustained. That's the only thing that can be sustainable. The factor of the human being wanting to do, wanting to gain, wanting to do much more than what he has ever done before. As a social animal, we are into what is called an ever-increasing thing. And then the last thing before I close, because we have to sustain this evening, and to sustain this evening, that corner is more interesting. What happens is another fascinating thing. I mean, very small way of looking at things. Where are we? Sometimes words flow out, capturing the other to the other. I would like a few points to look at me, future, past, and then say, should I sacrifice my today for my children's tomorrow? If I don't know how to look after myself, how can I look after their tomorrow? Not possible. Then they in turn will say their grandchildren and their grandchildren. No, if you live happily, they will live happily. In that way of my living happily, I may consume more than what I want. Can't help it. In fact, I was with another ashram the other day. After being in another ashram the previous day, in one ashram they said, you will eat everything you put on your leaf. Sir, should I also eat the leaf? I asked the Guruji. But I liked him. He said, if you try, if you like it, eat it. Then the next ashram the other day, I went after this ashram. I don't know, these Gurujis like me. I don't know for what reason. Because they know I love my single malt, I love my meat, I love my pork, I love my beef, I love all this, still they call me. The next day they put me out there, and he served and served and served something like 31 dishes. And the Guruji came and said, Jaisim, eat what you can, leave the rest. I said, sir, Guruji, shouldn't I eat everything? He said, no, there are other animals that will eat it. Why are you worried? You are just one being of a whole social order of human beings. There are cows there, there are other elephants there in my art, all that, they will eat it. So all this thing of morality being brought in is not right. I believe live what you want to the best of your ability and hope the other fellow lives to the best of his ability. Consume your energy to the extent you can. I was looking, but last, I'll just close down before you throw me out. Huh? Because I'm consuming a little more energy. The fact is, LED lighting came. The LED lighting fellows came. The Chinese LED fellows are 1/20th the cost, but it also worked 1/100th the time. But I didn't blame the Chinese. They said, sir, I will give you more and more. What does it matter? Because then the European came, then last week the Russians came with LED. Cost. He says, you can make 10 pieces of this or 1 piece of this. Then I asked the lady who looks after the house, which one you want? Sir, that is nice, but I can't afford it. Can I afford a 500 rupee LED bulb, whereas she can buy a 10 rupee bulb? Maybe it will last 10 times or 5 times. She doesn't even know whether she will live tomorrow. Why should I buy an LED light that lives for 20 years when I don't know whether I'll die tomorrow? You see, we should start looking at reality of life. I was just telling you the last bit before I close. As I was driving to the airport, my client, for whom I built with tremendous input, one of the most energetic, what he calls saving homes of, it's lasted 25 years. Even today it looks absolutely new. He just, Jaisim, don't get angry before you come home. My wife, my children, they're all here. I went, everybody applauded, looked around, we had a little drink. He said, it's absolutely beautiful. That's nice, thank you very much. Then he looked at me and said, so why have you called me over? He looked at me, he looked at the house, don't get angry. Because 25 years back, I had put every energy in me to build that house to the absolute efficiency possible. Light, courtyards, minimum bulbs, minimum things, minimum doors, minimum use of timber, minimum use of everything. To the extent of my knowledge I had said, we appreciate it very much, but I and my wife last night and the last week have called you, please knock this down and build another house. He thought I would get angry. I just looked at him and said, it's a great pleasure. Times change. You change, the young daughter and the things change. You have now 25 years older. I'm now 25 years older. Let us look at this better. Can I build you something more efficient? The only thing the lady said is, you built me multi-level beautiful house when I was young. He was young. We loved going up and down. Now I'm nearly 65. I can't go up and down. Give me a single little home, one level. You do what you want with it. I said, the cost of your new home will be the cost of the cost of the door of your new home will be the cost of the entire house which I built for you 25 years back. He said, I know. That's what it'll be. But I know you'll make it efficient to the factor of that you will make every bit of it come out. But the factor is it's going to be 10 times bigger, 100 times more expensive. So don't break it. Live life, enjoy it, get the lifestyle of it. And finally, cheers to all of you. You'll join Sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jaisim, to break down simple complexities of life. And I would like to thank Mr. Yatin Pandya as well to talk about how we should learn from our past traditions, apply it over here today in daily practices, in everything that we do. Ms. Mona, Doctor, for a very intricate insight into the workings of Odours. And I would like to ask the audience, do you have anything to say? Do you have anything to contribute to the discussion?
Do you want these 6 slides? Boring. That's my idea. Do you really want it?
That's more sustainable. Yes. Does anyone have anything to say, anything to ask?
You can have more lights on the audience. Let it be on the equal footing.
Can you switch off these lights, please?
Is sustainability industry driven, gauged by certification, rated by alien standards, or people's understanding from lessons learned from tradition, assisted by passionate professionals, inspired by love for earth and nature? I'm just asking.
No, these are the shades of its definition, and I mean, since he said what he said before, the spirits, let me put it in another way to rebut, because what he was reacting to what was the recipified, normative, and the kind of way it has been thrusted upon as a fashionable statement as sustainability. What is generally conveyed in our tone is, as he was saying, but I am saying in the opposite spectrum of it, any animal wants to live happily, but with least effort and with maximum gain. Okay? But in that, if I take everything today without forgetting that it has come from where, I might hog whatever I have today, but tomorrow I'll starve. That's why it's not esoteric. That's where I'd like to put it in a different platform. What we are talking, or what he was talking about, that lifestyle, this is exactly what we are questioning. We think we're progressing, we think we're modern, but we're forgetting that this is, it's like out of, my thali, I suddenly wanted something, so I took pizza. But every day do you sustain on pizza? Or every day you sustain on the same thali and rice? So think of what is long term for you, for your survival. We're not talking about the world, we're not talking about morality, but we are talking about what we take out of the entire evolution of human DNA just last 3 weeks and say this I6 has come and now the world is changed, is a fallacy. And if every model of development is based on I6, thinking that I must live today, actually you are drowning yourself into the deep sea. Thinking that you are progressing up, you are going down into the basement, never to come out of your own burial that you are growing. So it's only to put that mirror that fashion and beauty both may catch attraction or attention, but fashion wears off in no time. People thought in, living in today, Amitabh Bachchan's 80s movies that we all wore, 44-inch, I have worn that flare, thinking I was most modern. Okay? And once again, 25 years later, that bell bottom will start resurfacing. Okay? So point is that to get out of those time slots and think what is more constant, eternal DNA. A child today wants iPad, but mark my word, 5 years down the line, the same child says that please give me anything but electronic. I've done this.